Okay, so we're going to talk about various features in the Designer Edition one at a time. This is still not a released product. This is an overview. We're going to update these videos as we release the product, but since you have access to it, I want to make sure that you understand various features that are in the Designer Edition. So let me share my desktop and we can go through it. All right. So I have basically now, I'm just going to start the project. The project is the same. You enter information, you create a project. So let's talk about some of the new features. We're going to talk about it one at a time so that these can be short and to the point. One thing you notice here, I'll go back and show you this section when I go to the portal itself. So you notice that on the existing projects, you have this thing that says images 0, docs 0, right? And there is this thing called asset gallery. So if I click on it, there's nothing there right now because we just don't have anything. All of them have 0 images and docs. So what are images and docs? So when we create a project, the project itself, we always go to the site and we take a picture of an electric panel or the pathway or the pool and all these images, right? We used to take it on our phone, and then we go home and we take a couple other pictures of local food or whatever else is our personal phone, and we keep going through it. Then in 2 weeks we're going to go talk to a subcontractor or a vendor, and so let me show you the pool. So you keep going on your phone trying to find it. The idea of asset gallery is to make sure that everything in a project is in the project gallery, like in the project folder. So it's a good feature to have. Let's talk about it quickly. We're going to put it together so you can see what it's going to look like. So everything you see. So if I go and click on a given object, so I'm going to click on this, for example, right? This is the house, right? The structure. So on this one, you notice that this section is highlighted. So there is a new button that's enabled, and it's called asset, add a new asset. So when I add a new asset, it could be an image or it could be a file, like PDF. I'm going to select a file. I downloaded this from the Zillow listings as a test. So I'm going to do aerial 1 and 2 and 3. Some pictures, and assume I could have taken these from my photo, right? So I can do that. So I'm going to put in aerial pictures, and I'm going to save them. So what that did is brought those images and linked it into this object, right? Now, and you see it here. Now it has these images in this object. Now I'll go and click on I want to define this pool, right? So what I can do is I go in and enable the pool. This is a standard thing that we have. I'll click on the pool, and when I have the pool, the object, I can create a new asset. So I'm going to go in here, and I've saved an image of a pool. So this is a pool. I open it up and I put a description. I'll put in the pool, picture of the pool. So what am I doing is I'm basically bringing in specific information. So I put that in there, and this was a picture of the pool. And again, it could be anything from the camera that I put in. There is many different uses of it, right? So let's say you go to the corner of the house, you're visiting the house, you take a picture of the electric panel. So in that scenario, you come in, you basically go in and it's called a point object. So you create a point object. I'll create that. We'll talk about point objects in detail, but let me just show you what I mean by that. So this is the point object, right? So let's say the panel was on this corner, right? And that's the case. So I click on the point object, I click on the panel, and it's going to go up and say, so what is this? What do you want to do here? You notice that they put a little eye in here. So I can say it's an annotation, it's a downspout, it's any of those things that we have there. I can put in description of it, or I can add in an asset. So this is where I go in and pick up the files that I had, and I think I have saved some files here. So I think there's one called assets. Let me see. I just have some sample files. So let's look at and just use um, the patio. Yeah, I'm just using a file, right? So I can basically take a picture of it, put it in, and say my patio, my electric panel. You get the idea of what I'm talking about, so I can put that in, right? Another better example of it, I have the picture. You notice that there's the picture icon here now too. So another better example of it is I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go to this driveway. I click on it, and it comes up and says, "So what is that?" So now, and I'll go in and say, "This one, maybe I have samples for paver selection." So I have calstone pavers, which is a PNG file. So I will select that and add that in. I'll say it's that, and I'll say calstone pavers, and this could be something that um, is part of my design, is part of things. So I'm documenting objects on the site, right? So this is the digital asset part of it, digital gallery part of it. I can go in here and say, okay, you know what? Because this was that, I'm going to add another one, or I could do it on the same one, and I will make this one. And a lot of us, that do this kind of paper stuff. I'm going to put. Actually, I have to do it on the document side. I'm going to have the Belgrade catalog associated with it. I'm going to say catalog for pavers. We'll save it. So basically now, in addition to my site plan, right, I have inserted all the relevant information. That's the value of the digital asset. Now, it goes beyond that, right? So I can go in here, create a point object. Let's say I walk in and I was, oh, this is the nice tennis court, but maybe the surface got to change, right? So I will go in and click on it, comes up and say, what is that? So I'll say it's annotation. I will say, what is the description? The surface needs to be changed. And basically, I can put some note in there on the annotation part. And I'm going to put in this object is for the tennis courts. So simple as that. I basically now added an annotation to it. So now I'll save this stuff. So the function that this outlines is the function of the digital asset. Now, what you see is when you go back to the project itself, on the project, you see that we have, if I go to existing projects, see now this is populated, right? Because all the assets that we brought in, the other ones don't have anything. These are all the pictures we brought in. So the value here is that now on my site plan, I have all the digital assets related to the site plan. And if I go to digital gallery, basically on the projects, it will bring up the information of which gallery it is that it has it in. Again, this is being developed, so you have to be patient with it a little bit. But what we have here now is if I go here, I will have, based on the project itself, I have now all the information. I can go ahead and click on this one and say, what was this one? I can look at it and say, oh, this was, the document and so forth. So that's the digital asset part of it, is to bring in all of the documentation that you need for your project into your project binder, your project folder. It could be PDFs, it could be digital the pictures, that sort of stuff. So that's the digital assets part of it, the feature that is available in Designer Edition. Thank you for this quick session. I'm going to create more and more of these sessions specifically for a feature set that you can enjoy and hopefully use the system. Please have in mind, this is all free right now, but we need you to give us feedback, right? You're going to find bugs. I'm sure that's the possibility. This is a software. We are going to work together to try to figure it out so this becomes a product that you can use for your projects. Thank you for taking the time to take a look at this.